petitions, and communications. Our first speaker of the morning is Councilman Willie Bae Lewis regarding contacting the state and federal housing compliance departments regarding qualifications of tenants at O.W. Collins, Lewis Manor, and Prince Hall. Councilman, if you would state your name and address for the record.
Your time has started.
Good morning.
Morning.
Willie Bae Lewis, 2301 Lakeshore Drive, Port Arthur, Texas. Last time I checked, okay? I'm here this morning in behalf of the tenants. The tenants in 3 locations. Have you O.W. Collins, Prince Hall, Lewis Manor. Now, there's been a lot of activity, a lot of problems with the ones with the 2 on the west side. But the tenants can help themselves, and the friends of the tenants can help them, can help the people that live there. When you go, if you see any suspicious activity, call Southwest Housing. Can you post it up? Call Southwest Housing Compliance Center. The director is Nancy McHaley. Her phone number is 512-767-7722. They are that compliance center has a contract with HUD to make sure that all of these apartment complexes, the tenants, be within compliance. And according to the HUD handbook 4350.3, it requires background check on everyone. Now, this is not what I'm talking about. Is not a surprise to the new chief that we have, because I met with the city manager, his staff, and the new chief and his staff, and they're up to date on everything. And he's also talked to the compliance lady too. Now, my advice to the tenants not to engage in any of these criminal activities. Just do like we used to do in Vietnam. Just observe, reconnaissance. Just observe. Get documentation. Do not get involved with these people. Do not even make eye contact with them. Just get the report, because if you do those things or try to engage them, you're going to have a problem. So do not do. Call the compliance department. Let them handle it. Now, O.W. Collins. O.W. Collins is a senior citizen and a disabled unit. It's been that way since 1979. Nothing has changed. It is not a family unit. So if you see some violations there, report it to the compliance center. Now, the manager of that complex is ITEC. Okay, now, number 2, Lewis Manor. Lewis Manor, oh, by the way, let me back up. O.W. Collins, all 3 of them, the apartment has the allocation. The allocation goes with the apartment. Okay? So now, Lewis Manor, the allocation is with the apartment. I thought for a long time all this stuff fell under the housing authority. Well, Mr. Casada straightened me out on that. And I appreciate him working with me on this. The allocation goes with the HUD requires background checks. Now, the company that managing that facility is Bell and Bell Jr. That is a management team. Okay? Now, Prince Hall, the allocation is with the apartments. Josh Allen, a company I think is based out of Beaumont, they manage that facility. Background checks are required. Now, the last system is the voucher system. They have the voucher system. The voucher system do not apply to any of these facilities that has the allocation. You cannot take a voucher and go into O.W. College. You cannot, Lewis Manor or Prince Hall. You cannot use a voucher on those facilities. The apartment has the allocation. Now, I talked with Mrs. Nancy Mulhaney. She was so glad that I called, and I could detect the frustration. She is in position to do her job, and it's obvious she have not been allowed to do her job. And she was strongly advising me to get the the chief of police, the local authorities to work with these managers to try to get them in compliance. And she said if they do not want to cooperate with the new chief can develop an ordinance. It's called a nuisance ordinance, and have all those facilities that's not in compliance to be declared a nuisance. Now that's going to require a vote of the city council. Now we all can help ourselves and have a much more quieter and peaceful community. These senior citizens, these are low-income people, they are stuck in these facilities. They are stuck there only because of their income. Now the voucher system, you can take the voucher system, the vouchers goes with the individual. Background checks are required. Nothing, all the money comes from hoods, come out the same party, but it's distributed different.
Hold on one second, Councilman. Councilman Doucette?
I'll make a motion to give him 2 more minutes.
Councilwoman, it's been moved in second. 2 more minutes. All those in favor?
Oh, okay.
Opposals?
Okay.
Ayes have it. Go ahead. You have 2 more, Councilman.
No problem. The voucher system, you can flunk the background check on the voucher system. You can flunk it. But you can still get housing. You can go to Lewis Manor or Prince Hall and still get housing because they are not strong. There are lax on their background checks. Now, she's going to be scheduling a review, an audit pretty soon, and she's already talked with the chief. And one of the things that she's going to require, she is going to require what's called call for service. I don't know why they won't speak straight language. Call for service. In other words, how many times the police department has been called. They want that list of things. So appreciate y'all listening. I appreciate y'all taking all this into consideration. And all we need from you all is to let the manager allow the chief to continue with his initiative. Thank you all.
Councilman Doucette.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Lewis. I've always wondered about those 2 that was not under the housing authority, Prince Hall and Lewis Manor. I know we started security working with we had police officers in Lewis Manor at one time. I didn't like that idea of that because people pay rent to live in those apartments, and whoever managing those apartments, it's up to them to provide the security necessary to provide a safe environment for individuals living there. So actually, instead of us putting police, they should have hired off-duty policemen and as many as they needed in order to quell or control that environment. So with this compliance officer, I hope that the police chief get with her and understand what type data we need, because if they're not willing to provide, if they, not the taxpayers, because the taxpayer is not collecting the rent, if they're not willing to provide security, then we need to shut it down. It's a nuisance, all this killing, and it's unsafe for people who are law-abiding. People living in public housing ain't all criminals.
That's right.
And they ain't all bad people.
That's right.
Got some people, outstanding people live in public housing, and it's up to us to ensure that we establish something to provide them a safe place to stay. So I hope the chief get with her, find out what needs to be taken care of, and if they get out of compliance and where we could label them a nuisance, then I'll be more than glad to do it. Because this talking about living and you somebody shooting regular, that ain't good for people who don't want to live like that and who are law abiding. So thank you very much for your information.
Thank you. And just briefly, a lot of quality people comes out of public housing. It's just circumstances. I was privileged to years ago to be addressing the Senate. Senator Barrientos, I think his name. He was out of public housing. He's a state senator.
Councilman Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Lewis, we appreciate you bringing this to us because we Councilman Doucette and I, we met with the previous police chief and police officers to make sure that we had police officers on the property, because, to ask a citizen to say something about crime in their neighborhood, but the police officers are there to ask questions, but not there when the people actually need them on site. And that's one of the main things that we have to develop a relationship with police officers and citizens. So, hey, somebody can feel comfortable that if I tell you something, you're going to be here to protect me.
Right.
And that's the type of relationship we really need to have with the police department and these citizens, so they can feel very comfortable telling them information, giving them information. They can call from their apartment if we have somebody there on the grounds. But when you come there and you ask questions and then you leaving, nobody's going to give you any information. So hopefully we'll develop that type of relationship. And I appreciate you bringing that to the council today.
Appreciate you. Appreciate y'all comments. Thank you.
Councilman Jones.
Yes. Thank you, Councilman Lewis, for your concern. And as I told you the other day, and I'll say it again publicly, I hadn't been around Prentice Hall and Lewis Manor as much as I should be. I used to go around all the time, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, ride and see how things was going. But I wanted to put on record that O.W. Collins had made a difference day and night. That place had made a big difference. From 5 years ago to now, it's been really been cleaned up. I must say that. One lady visited there a whole lot, Mrs. Freeman. She needed a sleeping bag because she's always out there doing something out there. When she have a problem, she'll call me, and I'll go out there and check things out and talk to the office manager, or we call the regional manager, about things at O.W. Collins. And it's really been cleaned up. So I want you to know, O.W. Collins made a big difference. And the management out there doing a heck of a job, keeping it clean, from stragglers, drug dealers, whatever. So I'll let you know that O.W. Collins doing real good. So relax yourself on that one. Thank you.
Appreciate your comments, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay.